Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of my comic review series. I'm your host, Orange Zeppelin, and I have a special guest here. Maybe he'll let me pick him up. Oh, there we go. Hello, Catillas. He doesn't actually like to be picked up that much, but sometimes he's like, you know what, I'll tolerate it. Oh, there we go. Happy boy. Oh, so handsome. There we go. I'll let you down. He's purring. He must be in a good mood. Oh, such a good boy. Okay, getting distracted by the cat. Well, what comic are we talking about today? You'll notice I am wearing my Star Wars shirt, and that's because we're going to talk about a Star Wars comic, particularly the comic adaptation of Star Wars Episode 2. I know a lot of people think this movie didn't age well. Well, it was my favorite Star Wars movie when I was 10, and very clearly 10-year-old me had impeccable taste. Oh, wow. I can't even say that in jest. But I've had this comic since the movie came out in, what was that, 2002? That is the date on the video game advert on the back, 2002. I think I was in the 3rd grade when that came out, and then I got like really into the movie when I was about 10. So a couple years in my life. I know some people shit on the prequels. I liked them when they came out, so haters gonna hate. I actually think that Phantom Menace aged a lot better than, I don't know, that I know nobody likes Phantom Menace. I actually enjoyed rewatching it, so haters gonna hate, that's what I say. So this particular comic, I really like the art in this, and I did want to talk about it specifically for that reason. And it's partly because there's a lot of comics I bought recently where I just really wasn't into the art style, and it seems like it's a lot of newer comics, and then there's a lot of, not old, but older, like referring to 2002 as older is, it's making me feel old. Let's maybe not class that as older, but I noticed there is like something going on currently in comics I'm not as into visually, and I don't know how to articulate what it is. So that's what I'm kind of trying to figure out, where my interests lie artistically in terms of comics by, looking at this and comparing it to things nowadays. What I wanted to do, since this is issue 3 of 4, I wanted to find the other issues because I only had this one as a kid. I didn't have any of the other ones, so I looked them up on eBay because I am die-hard team eBay. If you can get it anywhere else, you can get it for dirt cheap on eBay. And it wasn't exactly, the other issues weren't dirt cheap on eBay. I saw a full set of all 4 issues going for $90, and it's like, no, that's people price gouging. I'm not spending that much money. And then there were some more reasonable price things, but there was a lot of shipping, and I'm cheap as shit, and I don't want to spend that much money on comics, and I could only find one of the issues. But what I did find, what I'm very happy I found, was the trade paperback. This was like less than $4 for free shipping. And like I said, I'm cheap as shit. I like that. It is a little bit banged up, as you will notice. I had to scrape some, like, I don't know, there was some random crud on the cover that I just scratched off with my nail. But for, like, less than $4 and free shipping, that's pretty good. A little banged up. It is in a little bit worse condition than this comic that I have had since I was... Well, I'm 27. Oh my god, I've had this for 20 years. Okay, let's not talk about how long I've had it. I'm really going to make myself feel old. And I didn't even have this in the plastic sleeve originally. I recently put it in a plastic sleeve. So I took good care of this. Whoever had this before, it's well loved. But I'm happy I have it. And for as cheap as it is, I'm not going to complain. So let's take a look at this. I'm actually going to start by talking about the singular issue that I've had since I was a young kid. Looking at the price, this actually, I bought it for more money than that trade paperback cost me on eBay. That's how good of a deal I got. Which I was hoping I would get the other issues in this series, like as individual issues. Partly because, if you guys have seen my last comic review where I talked about the what was it? There was a Conan comic, and then there was like a Avengers comic that was in German. I love looking at comic ads, especially from this time period, because this was my youth, this was my childhood. Get all these ads for Star Wars toys. Let's see, there's like a trading card game. All right, here we go. They have multiple ads for this trading card game in here. They were pushing that trading card game. You also have these mini busts that you could get. And if you look at the very back, when they're talking a little more about the mini busts, they did have a Count Dooku bust. I read that and was like, oh shit, I gotta track that down, because Count Dooku is my favorite character in the Star Wars universe, other than Grand Moff Tarkin. He's my favorite in the prequel universe. I think if you told 10-year-old me that I was gonna grow up to think Count Dooku was hot, I probably would have vomited in horror, but Count Dooku, man. Christopher Lee was a gilf. He was like, what, 80? He was still pretty good looking at this point. But anyway, let's talk about ads instead of horrifying things. But yeah, I like the ads. That's always so fun to look at. And there's like a Lego, it's like Star Wars Legos. Somewhere in here there's Star Wars Legos. I don't remember where it is, but somewhere in here there was an ad for Star Wars Legos. I probably even had the set. I had quite a few Star Wars Lego sets. I remember more so episode 1. I'm trying to remember. There was like some specific speeders that I had little Lego sets of. And I probably still have the pieces hiding somewhere. But the other reason that I wanted to have like individual issues is so I'd have all the covers in a collection. I did find one of the issues, there was Count Dooku on the cover, and I wanted to buy that, but I went with the trade paperback instead, and as I said, this saved me quite a bit of money, even though it looks like, I don't know, somebody tried to use it to kill a fly at some point, but for less than $4, I ain't complaining. So I'm just gonna, I won't show you every single page, but we're just going to take a little look through it. And like I said, I really like the art, and I was trying to figure out what is it in particular that I like. And my conclusion, I think a lot of it has to do with the line art, the ink work in particular. There's a lot of really nice, strong contrast. I think there's a lot of good contrast. And then the likenesses, I think all the characters' likenesses are really good. We got a little bit of glare here. I'm still trying to figure out how to film comic reviews optimally, but it's the likenesses, solid ink work, and then there's a lot of really nice color schemes too. If we take a look at this panel here, I like the contrast of like the purplish, it's kind of like a red-violet, that orange and yellow color scheme. That's what I like to do in a lot of backgrounds of my paintings. I've been doing that recently, where there's a lot of just orange and yellow dramatic backgrounds. But I'm trying to pay more attention to color schemes in comics, because I feel like I've complained about this before in my own comics. I don't think my color sense is that good. I know what I like in other comics, I just don't necessarily know how to apply it. This, I really like the, give me a second here, I'm gonna relocate these lights and make that a little easier for you guys to see. There we go. Now we have much less glare, and now you can see what I'm talking about here. I like the combination of all of that purple, all of that blue, and then just like that nice pop of green, yellowish green. I don't know, they're pretty colors that go together. I don't know if pretty is the best word to describe a scene where we got some alien creature being sliced apart by a lightsaber, but pretty is how I would describe those colors. And then also you got the same color scheme, but also there is that pop of orange, having like a warm and cool color contrast is always so pleasing to the eye. So yeah, pleasing color composition. That's what I would say. And I like how the backgrounds are done. That's another thing that I have a hard time with, is making futuristic backgrounds that don't making backgrounds in general that don't suck is an adventure for me. But futuristic backgrounds. And backgrounds and scenery are so important in comics, because this is how you're establishing the environment that your characters are in. There's so much storytelling that can be done entirely with the background. So much personality that can be added to the comic. You know, what I was going to talk about, I'm going to jump back a little bit. And this is the complaint. So far, the only complaint I have is I feel like in this scene in particular, you'll notice there's a lot of narration explaining exactly what's happening in each panel. And I feel like that's not really necessary if you just depict the scene well enough, which, again, that's another one of those struggles in making comics, is how do you... we're showing action in a way that makes sense. You don't want to rely too much on narration. It's a show don't tell sort of thing. And I feel like there's a few points in this comic where there's a lot of narration. Like, I don't think we needed to explain. It doesn't say, and then Obi-Wan cut this fucking lady's arm off. But still, the narration I feel like isn't necessary in that scene. I think it would be better if we just have an arm slice. And also, I want it to be a little more obvious that her arm is being cut off. I know, obviously, because this is a lightsaber, we're not going to have sprays of blood, because that is not how the physics of lightsabers work. But I want it more dramatic that her arm is being removed from her body, which we do see there's an arm hanging out there on the ground. I just want that to be more dramatic. One of my drawing teachers in college gave me the best advice I've ever gotten from a drawing teacher or any art teacher, and he was saying that I should look at, what was it, Ottoman paintings in order to learn how to draw a really good decapitation. Like, he was critiquing decapitation I had in a comic, and he was saying, like, I need to really have that head away from the body. It was like an exact moment of decapitation where the head was, I don't know, there was blood spraying everywhere, but the head and the body were still pretty close together. He was saying that head needs to be flying the hell off of that body. And I have remembered that. That is the coolest piece of advice I've ever gotten from a teacher. And then the nice thing, I know I was defending the prequels here. The nice thing about the comic is you can't hear how awkward the dialogue is being delivered. You can kind of voice act it in your own mind. Actually, I think this scene plays out a lot better in the comic than the movie. We just establish Obi-Wan went to this place, he knows this dude, he recognizes what the hell that thing is. We didn't have to... I mean, we kind of show, hey, it's a 1950s diner for some reason in the middle of space, but I don't know, I think that scene just works better. Oh, actually, here's something specifically I want to talk about, because I don't recall... I think this scene here, and let me move my camera a little bit so you guys can see, I feel like this is not in the movie, or maybe it's a bonus scene. I don't recall it being in the movie, and I've probably read something about it originally being planned and not added in. They're talking about Count Dooku. They've got this... There's like a series of busts of previous Jedi, and there is a bust of Dooku in the Jedi Temple's archives, and they're commenting on Count Dooku. So this is something I'm pretty sure that did not make it into the movie, that they added into the comic. And I think that's cool that they changed it up a little bit. And I like how this page is composed a lot, how we have the panels over this flowery background. And they do that again in this scene. I really like the composition of these pages. And see, the I don't like sand line, you can voice act it in your head so much better than how it was delivered in the movie. I don't want to give the actors crap because, man, we know what lines they were working with. Yeah, I said I wasn't going to show you every page, and now here I am showing you every page. You know what a lot of people had the complaint a lot of people had in episode 2 is like, why the hell was young Boba Fett in the movie and we didn't need that? I liked young Boba Fett, and I think he's about the same age I was when I saw the movie, and I remember that they made a book that was basically episode 2 from the perspective of young Boba Fett, and I remember liking the book a lot. I still have it somewhere. I think I lent it to my dad, and it's probably in his Star Wars book, so I should get that out and read it again. But I liked young Boba Fett. I could connect with this character a lot better than I could connect with, young Anakin in Phantom Menace. I already forgot the name. It vacated my mind. I don't know, maybe because young Boba Fett's cooler. I like the warm colors and the strong contrast on this page also. There's just so many things I like about the art in this comic. Like I was saying, I think a lot of it has to do with the line art. It's the strong contrast. I was looking through some other comics I have earlier, trying to figure out what my line work particularities are, and I think I prefer when they just use solid black for line art, and they can emphasize form just with color, of course, but I notice a lot of comics, some of the comics I really like this set of this scene here. I'm going to move the camera once again. There we go. I love that whole spread. I feel like sometimes when you use a color other than black for lines, I don't know if it's just as effective. There's something that I'm not as visually into. Actually, I think starting right here is where we start issue 3, right? Almost. There we go. Yeah, more of that nice warm colors with that contrasting purple background. Hell yeah, we got Count Dooku in here. That is, let's get a good shot of Count Dooku. You must gaze upon the magnificence of Count Dooku. That's a good, apologies for the video hiccup there. My phone actually ran out of space in the middle of filming. Either that or just Count Dooku was so handsome my phone could not handle it. The point I was trying to make in the middle of that video hiccup is one thing that I always think Star Wars had over Star Trek, as much as I love Star Trek, and I was definitely a big Trekkie for a while, is I think Star Wars has the cooler aliens. They definitely, I think that with a movie budget, you want to go over the top with your aliens. You want to make them look as cool as possible. And with Star Trek, it was more like, okay, what is in the budget for this episode? We can make an alien with a weird forehead. We're going to make a human with a weird forehead. That's what we're doing. We have the money to do that. This composition, this goes into what I was saying about where you don't need narration at all. You don't need words at all. If you have strong enough visual storytelling skills, you don't need to say anything. You can just do it all through images. I like the theory that some people have where, like, Jar Jar Binks was a Sith Lord the entire time, because technically he is the guy that got Palpatine just in control of the Senate. This was like, Jar Jar totally is responsible for all of this. It is extended Star Wars. Oh yeah, we got some more Count Dooku action. Hell yeah. It is extended universe Star Wars canon that there was a Gungan Sith Lord. There was a Gungan Jedi. He was turned to the dark side. And there has, in fact, been a Gungan Sith Lord. I think that's like the best extended Star Wars universe fact out there. Even better, I don't know, is that even better than the fact that the Cantina Band in A New Hope has a whole backstory? I don't know, I think that's pretty rad too. Yeah, we got some Count Dooku. Fuck yeah. And then this kind of jumps into my complaint about, you don't have to narrate everything. I can tell looking at it, she's about to get scooshed. That's the word now for having molten alloy poured on you. Okay, yeah, see, here we go. Jar Jar has just declared Palpatine Supreme Chancellor. Look at that smug little smile on that motherfucker's face. He knows what he's done. He's been a Sith the entire time. This is like, it's playing a long haul here. So our super battle droids here, this has nothing to do with the comic, but it's funny. I had a dream once after watching episode 3 that Count Dooku had his own contingent of super battle droids that were more like protocol droids in that they did random tasks for him, administrative tasks. And he was a stickler about professionalism, so he wanted all of his droids to have a uniform. In the case of the dream, it was a pair of brown slacks. And they just, for whatever reason, didn't want to wear their brown slacks. So Count Dooku was very upset about this. He felt like they were not showing professionalism. And at some point of the dream, there's just Count Dooku angrily shaking this pair of pants, just lamenting the fact that none of his droids care about professional appearance. And I should put that on the screen. I photoshopped an image of a super battle droid wearing aforementioned brown slacks that Dooku required them all to wear. I felt like I needed to bring this image into existence, considering how my mind had conjured it. But yeah, that, you will notice that none of the battle droids in this particular scene have the brown slacks. They're not wearing their uniform. I'm sure Count Dooku is extremely upset. They just are not caring about professionalism. All the Jedi have just showed up in this arena in front of all his battle droids, and just nobody wore their pants. What is up with that? Also, I do wish, I think this is just the immature, edgy high schooler in me, I do wish this decapitation, just like I was saying, what my art teacher in college was saying, you gotta have that head, like, way off the body. I want this decapitation to be much more obviously a decapitation, but I imagine maybe the comics code censors would not be as thrilled with that idea. They're like, hey, maybe, not have such violent decapitations in our comics for children. Yeah, like the depth of the composition in this scene. And what I mean by the depth is we have it's a, what am I trying to articulate here? This is something I have a hard time with. Another thing that I have a hard time with in my comics, with having a very large scene. We've got a lot of things happening that we're receding far into the background. Hell yeah, Force Lightning from Dooku. Obviously, I think they didn't want to... I think they should make that arm cut off a lot more violent than it was. Again, that's edgy me wanting everything to be terrible, apparently. You don't have to be so in your face with violence, but I want the arm and the... Just like what I was saying, that decapitation, you gotta make it obvious. Which speaking of decapitation, I wonder what they did in... with the episode 3 comic. Dooku himself loses his arms and his head. They actually, in this comic, I'm pretty sure they cut down that fight with Yoda and Count Dooku. They don't do their force... They're fighting with, like, force powers initially, and then they go into the lightsaber. Which here, they don't even muck around with that. They go straight into the lightsaber battle. Oh, my last page is a little dog-eared and bent. Like I said, it was a very cheap comic because it was a little banged up. But I'm happy. I'm happy I got this for such a good price, and I'm happy that I have the full comic series now. I'm going to have to look for that Dooku mini bust. So we have a whole timeline of Star Wars paperbacks as of 2002. Can you imagine what a can of worms the Star Wars comic universe is now? I want to read some more Star Wars comics and more of the extended universe stuff. There is a Count Dooku comic. Maybe we'll be reviewing that in the future. We might be seeing some more Count Dooku action. Which, anyway... That is it for showing off this comic. Thank you guys for watching. I really am happy I got a hold of this. I like the art a lot, as I've said. I've said lots of... I said a whole bunch of stuff. Hopefully some of it was intelligent and informative and entertaining. So, thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like and a comment. Tell me who your favorite Star Wars character is. Tell me if you like the prequels at all, or if you think they suck. If Count Dooku's there, if Christopher Lee's there, it's pretty awesome. That's what I have to say. And I grew up with it, so there's a lot of nostalgia. There's a lot of joy from the prequel universe that I get. So, until next time, keep reading comics.